Hi, welcome to my next series of Angular 4, and today we will study about HTTP services. The generally in web applications we make AJAX call to which is nothing but a service call to for the server side. Like a front end application, whatever we developed using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or any library or framework of JavaScript, uh, we are actually working on the front end side or the client side, but it is not possible for the front end side to connect to database directly. So that is the reason why it needs to connect to the server side application or a server side service, which will in turn fetch database from the DB or the database and provide the data to the client. So it is for security purpose that front end programming language or scripting language, they are not allowed to touch the database directly, otherwise it will have a security issue. So that is why we have to call a service, and that service can be written in any back server side programming language which will interact with the backend database. So that service side language can be Java, JSP servlets, or PHP or Cold Fusion, etc. It can be any language. So irrespective of that, Ajax can through Ajax service we can call any service of the backend irrespective of what language they are built on. So it is not dependent, it has no dependency that it has to be in this language. Only the service should be exposed as a REST service. Okay, so if you already know what is a REST service, then fine. Otherwise I would suggest you that you go to some online tutorial on REST if you do not have any idea of REST service or web services. So I would suggest you that you go through those tutorials. Okay, so normally when we are working on pure JavaScript, we are actually making an AJAX call. So Angular 2 or 4 also does the same thing. So that AJAX call is actually wrapped in its own framework. So ultimately this is also making an AJAX call, but in its own way. It has its own set of APIs and services exposed. So today we will see the example of HTTP GET, and in another session we will also see the example of HTTP POST. So we know what is the difference between GET and POST. These are methods. So there are even different methods like options, delete. So like if you have some idea of CRUD, okay, or create, read, update, delete, so operations, then you are already aware about GET and POST. So GET and POST are the most general one that is being used. So generally GET is used to read, extract data, read data, and POST we use to update data, write data, or delete data. But yes, using GET also we can delete data, but as a practice we follow that GET is to generally to fetch data. So today we'll quickly look at how to create this service, because if you are using Angular 2 or 4, it makes it very simple to implement this service, HTTP services. So first let us come to some free, we will be using some free services that will give us country details. So I already have it jotted down. So if you see this URL that I have jotted down, okay, like the first URL, so first URL is this, sorry, this all. So if I go and if you hit it directly, if you hit the service directly, then you get a JSON object as a response. So this is JavaScript object notation. So see, this is structure of this JSON, and if you go to this second one, the second URL, this will give you a list of all countries and all details. So you see this URL name, REST v2 all. So this REST is actually a URL to represent the resource. Now if we go to this, see another URL. So this URL, if you see, has a country name appended to it. After name there is country, India. So if I say India, it will give me the JSON response for country India. Okay. So if I say give China, say for example if I give China, it will give me the response for China. It will give me name of the country, capital of the country, What is the alpha 3 code of the company country? Say CHN, like for India it is IND. What are the borders nearing this? Like the borders are India. All the code of the country is given along its border, like India, Kazakhstan, Pakistan, MSC, etc. Okay, so same for any country that we choose over here. So this is a free service URL that we have, so you can also use the same. So let us create some application around this as an example. So first let us create one service. So I'll go to services, I'll say new file, and I'll name it countries dot say http dot services, sorry, service dot ts TypeScript file. So here you have to import. So we already seen in the previous session that we have to create a service. We have to make it as injectable, okay, because services generally get injected so that it can be reused from Angular core. So injectable is already there in Angular core. Then now in this case, since we require HTTP service also, so I'll say first let me give the path so it will be easy to get it as an auto suggest. @Angular, we need to import HTTP service, so Angular/HTTP, okay, as simple as that. So here we will have HTTP, that's it. So these are the two things we'll import, and then what we have to do next, we have to use the injectable decorator. So injectable decorator, and then we have to say export, say the class, and give the class name as countries service, okay. And then we know that we have to inject this service in the constructor, so we have to make a constructor because you have to do dependency injection. And we know that generally the rule for dependency injection in Angular is that you declare it in the constructor parameter, okay, or argument. Though argument and parameter are not exactly similar thing, but sometimes we use it the same way. So this is the constructor. So inside constructor I will say private, say underscore HTTP colon, and this will be of type HTTP. HTTP, yes. So this is injected just by writing anything in the in its argument or parameter that gets injected. Now define a public method. So I'll say public, say get country detail. So get country detail, I'll say nothing, it will not return anything as such. Okay, no, it has to return an okay, fine, let me not write anything. So it will return an observables. So observable, like we know, if you have done React, if you have worked on React, then you know that what is an observable like streams over which the data, if ever data changes over time, you can subscribe to it. So as I suggested even in the last session, that if you don't have the idea of observables, then please, or React, RxJS, or React, then please go through some tutorials. There are lots of tutorials online. So this makes our life easy actually. So here I'll say this dot underscore HTTP dot, we'll use the get method in this tutorial. So get, and here you have to give the URL. So here I'll write a URL. So I'll write a local variable, say let means local variable, I'm not declaring it as public or private. So let underscore URL, okay. So this will be of type string. Even if you don't give type, it will do, but as a good practice you should give type. So string equals, so let us use this URL, the one which we have used right now. So for the time being, let us use this hard coded one, this for India. So I'll just mention this. So this is the URL for country India. See here whatever name we give, accordingly the details will come for that country. So I'll just say this URL. So okay, so this dot get http dot get URL. Okay, so this is the get method. So here I will write, I'll simply return this. So this will return an observable. Okay, a get method or whatever a post method, this will return an observable. And the advantage with observable is that we can subscribe to it. Okay, so now we come back to this. So simple, just this much script we have to write. Now we come back over here. So here what we will do, we will make a method, say public get country. So here I'll write info. I'm not writing detail so that you don't get confused that here I've used country detail, here also I'm using the same name, so it may confuse you that maybe we have to use the same name. That's not necessary. So any method I can use. Okay, so here let us do one thing. Let us create a public variable, public, say give it some name. Say I'll give the name capital. So I'll display the capital of that country. This is what I want to collect. Okay, so here I will just say I'll just need to call that service. So to call that service, what are the steps? First I have to import it. Import what was the name of that service? Countries service, if you remember, and the path we have to give. Okay, the path I will give as what was the path? Services folder. I have created inside services folder slash what is the name? countries.http. So it has come in the auto suggest. Okay, so I think some spelling wrong, it seems. Oh, I already made the spelling wrong over here. No problem, no problem. See, in this of countries I have done. Okay, so let me correct it, though it doesn't matter even if I use the same spelling whatever I have given, but let us make it more meaningful. So countries, so I come back to app.component and I'll write it as countries dot service. Now this still is giving me red. I don't know why. It should not be so. It is saying from X. Oh sorry, I have missed out from. Okay, now it's fine. And what are the other step? If you remember that if you are using any services, you have to give another metadata called providers, and inside provider the value will be array. So array of all the providers you are using. So at the moment I am using countries service. Okay, now we are ready to invoke this country service. So what I'll do, I'll say this dot country service. Okay, one more thing. So here also you have to use a constructor and you have to inject this service. So I'll write private, say country service, colon country service. So it is injected. So let us not take the same name. Let us same case we won't take. We will take different case. So this is injected. And now I can use country service dot get country detail. Okay, so this will return me an observer. So if it is an observer, I can simply say subscribe. I can subscribe to it, and then I can use an arrow operator. Res will return me response. So this is the parameter I am passing with arrow function, and what I need to do with response, I'll make it very simple. So capital is what I need. Okay, so I will say this dot capital is equal to response dot JSON. First we get the response as a JSON, and then if we come and see the structure of this response, so what do? You just copy this all, come over here, and there is many site where you can see the JSON viewer. So one site is JSON viewer, so I'll just, or if you can use any tool if you have it locally, so use a tool of your choice. So you see the structure of the object, response object will be like this. So it is a nothing but the 0th element of an array. In an array, 0th element, inside that you have got dot name India, see dot capital is New Delhi. Okay, so you see that we can get this capital New Delhi. Okay, so 0, you have to take the 0th element and then use dot capital. So what I will do is, let me only take 0th element. Okay, so what I do is, instead of capital, let me take country obj, country object, and let me not take it as a string, let me take it as any, type any, it should be an object also. So instead of this I'll say this dot country object. So this gives me more advantage that I can parse it for other information also. Now let me come to template. So template, I'll do one thing, I will say name or say capital. I'll directly start with capital. So H3, so capital is this slash H3. Okay, and here I can write the capital. So what is the name of that object? Country object, right? So let us copy this country object. So I have taken the JSON 0th element of this JSON, 0th array element, and if you come over here we see that 0th element will contain all these properties. So we have just parsed it. So I come to this component, and I'll write country object dot name, since country object is already capital. And same way I can just copy this. Okay, and then I can copy this, paste this, paste this. Okay, so here I'll give say name of the country, capital of the country. So here let me give the heading name. Okay, and what else you want to display, you can take it from here. Say you want to display area or say whatever. Say I want to display the currencies, but if you go to currencies you have to nest down actually. Currencies 0th element you have to display, 0th element code. Okay, so that also we can do. If you want to see whatever you want, you take it, not a problem. So currency, so what was this currency? You have to take the code 0 element and then dot it was something different, not code. So you have to be very careful how you are parsing it. Okay, it is currencies, dot currencies 0 code. Okay, so not code, it should be dot currencies 0 dot code. So let us leave it till here. Okay, and now finally we will have a button which will call that method. So buttons click method we will call that method in fact. So the name of the method is, let me copy so that there is no spelling mistake, get country info. So let me come over here. So I'll say get country info. That's it. Now let's run it and see if there is it is running fine. So already I have given the command ng serve and started my server. It's running successfully. So let us come over here, open a new browser, localhost 4200, Okay, it has come. Okay, sorry, the button I have not given any value, so it is coming very small. So give some value. Get country detail. That's it. So I'll just click on get countries detail. You see it is coming India, New Delhi, INR is the currency value. In fact, if you see over here, the interesting part is you even get the currency symbol also, dot symbol. Let's give that. Okay. So here only, beside this only, let us copy this entire thing and just give a hyphen and let us paste it, and we can write symbol. Okay, now let us say get country detail. See, we get the symbol also. And if instead of India in the service, if instead of India, if I take say China, now let us run it. Now click, I have hard coded as China. See, China, Beijing, and this is the Chinese currency and its symbol. Okay, so let's make it dynamic now. Okay, so why we are giving it from here, why we are hard coding it, we can make it dynamic. So what we do is, let us do one thing. Let us give an input box over here. Input type is equal to text. Okay, and let us do a two-way binding. So two-way binding we already know, we can use ng model directive is equal to, and say I will take a variable country name. I have not defined it yet, I'll just take it. That's it. So just copy this country name, declare it as a public variable in your component. So I'll declare it as a public, and it will be of type string. Okay, and then what you do, pass this country name to this country detail as a parameter. Right now it is showing error because our country in detail method in the service doesn't accept parameter. So let's refactor it to accept parameter. So here we'll write country name, whatever name you can give it. It's not necessary that you have to give the same name. Is string. So this will be a parameter. So over here you have to write, instead of the country name, now delete this country name. And here I have to write country name. So now what happens, whatever I have given, I am giving the input in the text box. Its variable name is country name. It is two-way binded. So this country name will be, sorry, I have forgotten to make it this dot country name. Here it will be. So this country name will have the variable whatever user has input, and this will pass as an argument to this service method. So here in this service, it will get this method and append it to this URL. So this URL becomes dynamic, and accordingly the data will be fetched. Okay. So now if we come over here, okay, seems like some error. So let's see what is the error. Let's open the console. It will show us what is the error. It is saying ng model. Okay, the spelling of ng is wrong. I have, by mistake, I have written mg, it seems. Yeah, sorry. Anyway, I do lots of spelling mistake. Okay, now let's come back. It should work fine now. Okay, it's working fine now. Okay, so I enter India. I'm not able to see my cursor, it's blinking. Okay, and I say get country detail. So it comes for India. I say China and click. So I get China. Okay, now if we come over here, if we check the JSON, there is one very interesting thing out here. You see there is a property called flag, and here is the URL to this flag. Okay, so if you copy this URL, see if I copy this URL and directly hit this URL, see what we have. Oh, sorry, we haven't. See, let me copy from here. It's an SVG, URL to an SVG. So dynamically it is generating a URL for the flag symbol also, flag image I mean. So this is for India. So same for all the countries. So what we will do is, let us take a flag property. Let us go to HTML. So this would be very interesting. And below the button, say I write an img tag. You know this for image, src is equal to, okay, it will be dynamics. Image source, let's make it dynamic and we'll give the flag URL. Okay, and let us give it some width. Width, say, let us give it as 300 or say 400, and say height 300. Height is equal to 300, and this is it. And then we will have country object dot flag. As you have seen that the property name is flag. We are done. Let's come and let's check. So this image, empty image placeholder is coming. So not sure why it came like that, should have come below the button. img src. Okay, we can give a break tag. Okay, let it be like this. You can adjust the cosmetic according to your need. Okay, so I say India, and let's say get country detail. So we see the India flag. I say China, so I'll say get country detail. We see China flag. Say we say Pakistan, and let's click. Okay, we get this all the with the details. So we say USA and USA. So whatever country, all the world countries information is there. Okay, easy enough. Now, so this is fine. Okay, you have got more details. If you see, it is a very good service, free service they are providing. You got STD code, you have got neighboring countries details, you have got this native language, native name, lots of things, lots of informations you have over here. Okay, now as I mentioned, there was one more service, same belonging to the same site, see, same URL, but if you say all, it will display all the countries. See, if I come to this JSON viewer, paste this, see the structure of this, it is huge. It contains all the countries details of the world. So you see, it is an array of, there are lots of item, hundreds 123 something like that. So if you come to the arrays, so each array has got an object. So it is an array of objects. So 0th object name is Afghanistan. So alphabetically it is starting. First object name is again from A, and so on. We have got all the countries of the world. So now let us do one thing. Let us see what will happen right now is you have to handle some issue. Suppose I don't enter anything and I'll just say get country details. Nothing happens. And user may type the name wrong. So why not use the existing one and put it in a select box. So user just can select it and let it populate dynamically. So what we can do is, let us take, like we had input type text. Now here I'll write select. Okay, and select I'll bind it with a model. ng model equals, so model I will give country name, same model that I am entering. So it is a two-way binding. So whatever I select in that, it will get assigned to this variable country name, and then slash select, and let's go to this option, and option I will generate dynamically. So what I do is, I'll create one in this service, I'll create one more method. This is get country detail. Same way, just copy this, paste it, and give it the name get countries. Here we don't need any parameter. So this will give us all the countries list. See here, I'll say get countries. That's it. And URL will be the same URL which we are using over here. This will be the URL. So this is the URL, and I'll say same way I'll return it. So this will return me list of all countries. So this I want that automatically when it starts, that time only this service will get triggered, this method will get called, and it will get stored in, say, a variable. I'll say countries list. Okay, type any or type object you give. So by taking any, it can typecast to any type of data, any data type. So when it starts, so that means on init, that is the life cycle of the component which we have studied in one of the previous session. So I can say, so first I have to import this on init. Okay, and then you write public class app component. Even if you don't write, it will work, but it is always better practice to write implements, because if you write implements, then it will make sure that you have to implement this method. If you don't write on this implement, if you don't write implements, then either you can give it or you can leave it out. Okay, on init, here it is. Okay, now say once you give implements on it, it is forcing you that you please implement this method. Okay, so I will say on ng on init, sorry, ng on init. Okay, so this method will get executed after the views initialize. I means when the, not after the, when the views initializing or rendering. So here I will call same way. I'll just copy paste this. So you can use the same concept and just say paste. Now only instead of country detail, you don't have to pass any parameter. Don't pass any parameter, and instead of country detail, you can say countries, just get countries, and then subscribe. There is, and here I will say countries list. So I'll choose countries list as JSON and not 0. If you see, the structure depends on the structure what I am choosing. So if you see the JSON structure, not 0 item. 0 item will contain only this, nothing, just the object we need to select. After that 0, 1, 2, 3 we can iterate. Okay, just this JSON. Okay, in the previous, it depends on what structure it is. Accordingly you have to choose whether you need the only 0th item. Here in this case only one country's detail was there, so 0th item, it was in the 0th array, and here we need all the array, all the items of the array. Okay, so countries list is where it gets, the response gets stored. Now I come to this template, HTML template. Here in select I'll write, if you remember, a directive called ng4, a structural directive which we have done in first few session, within first few session, I think second or third session. So you have to say let, say, country of country list. So this way it will loop in this countries list object, 0th object, first object, and that will get assigned to country. Okay, and value you say is equal to so value will be country dot name. Okay, and same thing we need to copy paste. This is for whatever value I select, and this is just for display purpose. And optional repeat as many number of countries are there. Okay, now let us run this application and see if things are fine. See, the moment I start the application, you see this is getting pre-populated, all those values coming. Say I choose one country and say get countries details. Okay, it seems still that something is missing out here. Okay, so this select I have taken, okay, ng model I have not given properly, that's why it is not binding. So ng model should be wrapped like this, then only it is a two-way binding. So that is why that value was not picked up. Now it will select the value. So yeah, so I choose say Afghanistan, click. So the flag for Afghanistan and capital Kabul. Okay, so let us choose say India, and see whatever I am selecting, automatically this is getting typed over here in the text box also, because both are binded to the same variable. It is a two-way binding using ng binding. See, this is India, so choose any country and you get the detail for that country. Okay, so pretty cool. Okay, so they are all the countries of the world listed over here. Okay, say Zimbabwe, and this is it. And you can use other details as well. There are lots of detail. These are very good web service which you can use to make an application regarding the country details. Fine. So I hope you have understood this. So let me summarize it. So this is the HTTP GET method we are using to fetch the data. So we are using this free REST service. So initially, what are the steps we need to do? First you have to import the injectable, because for any service it has to be an injectable, so that you can inject is a DI or dependency injection, and then we import the HTTP service. That's all. So we take an injectable decorator, declare our class and declare the method, and here just use this http.get, and within the parameter you get the URL of the REST service to call. Just return this. So this will return an observable, and then you come to the component, and from here you call this get country detail. First you have to import that service, whatever service you are using over here, and then important thing, don't forget that in the component decorator you have to include providers metadata, and in the array of provider you have to use this service as one of the provider, and then in the constructor you have to inject it as a dependency injection. Then this will be available to be used. So after this you can use it and invoke its methods, say get country detail or get countries, and then you can write, if an argument is required, give the argument, then you can subscribe to this event. After subscribing, whatever you are giving over here, any variable name you can give. So this variable name will be your return value, whatever response you are getting. And then how you map this response. You can even use the map also, but I used it a very simple and raw way. So this is the array operator. So in this country.object, I am taking the response.json, converting it to JSON format and assigning it to it. And that's it. And here I am using 0, because depending on the structure, 0th element will give me the country details whole list, whole object. And after that, country detail dot this country object dot name, country object dot capital, we can parse to get the detail. And these details I bound in the HTML template, if you see. Fine. So same for get country list. So I am using select also. I am using a text box also to make it dynamic. So if I am using ng model, then whatever I am selecting over here, it will get assigned to this, and this can be dynamically passed as a argument to, as a country name to this service call. So here you see country name becomes dynamic. So whatever country I am choosing, accordingly the detail will come. So fine. So this is it for today, and I hope this was a very fruitful learning for you and you enjoyed this learning. So if you really liked it, then please press the like and subscribe to my channel for more tutorials, and thank you very much for watching my video. Bye bye, have a nice day.